Enchi ball python. And the Enchi ball python, he's a little bit bigger. He is a male. I think he's 2011, so he's coming up on 2 years now. This color morph is so much prettier after he sheds. Right now, he looks really dull. But these as babies are about a $500 snake, so he is one of my prize. And this yellow on the sides are just a lot nicer. If you look at his eyes, you can really see the blue. If you look at his eyes, and flip around. See the blue on his eyes? He's going to shed probably any day. King snake doesn't come. They can't. That's why they're often a little honorary, not always in the best mood, not always wanting to mess with. He's a really good snake. That's why I still let him out. But I get to be a little more careful with things we do. No, none of these are poisonous. I don't work with anything poisonous unless I'm removing it from your property. But that's one of my things, guys. Is anything that I take out of the wild, or that's a wild animal, I put back into the wild. I don't take anything out of the wild and keep as pets. See his blue eyes?
Do you keep any snakes as pets?
These are all my pet snakes.
Oh, I see.
But you have a ball python? Same size? That's good. Yeah, he's a good snake.
So, you have one snake here, and it's a lot darker than your snakes. It's probably
Maybe at the end you can show me them. My guess is that these ones, the brown one I have, when they're babies, they look very different as babies than as adults. My guess is that the one you have is probably a baby of this version.
Let's see.
All right. Yes.
So I have a pet python. I have it 5-6 years. I'm tired of it.
What do you do with them? Well, if you want to make some money back on the snake, there are kingsnake.com, fauna classifieds. There's a lot of different reptile forums on Facebook, things like that, where you can advertise the snake. And if it's a female, I would guarantee that someone breeder-wise would buy it from you, because a 5-year-old snake would probably be breeding size. You can't get anyone to buy it. You can also try Craigslist. Sometimes people will flag animal sales or whatever on Craigslist. But if you do it as an adoption, people also will allow that on Craigslist. Then last case, the Montgomery County Humane Society will take snakes and then adopt them back out. A lot of my snakes, when I started my collection, were adoptions. I worked at a pet store in college. People would bring back a snake that they had bought. They didn't want any more. Petco's policy at the time was that they could not resell an animal, so they would put it up for adoption. Being the manager, I got to be the first person to adopt, so I adopted. And I used to have tons and tons of animals when I was in college because I created everything.
So how did all the pythons get
People let them go. And now in Florida they have this amnesty day that they've created so that people can bring any type of animal that they don't want. They can then bring them to this little amnesty activity and then donate it to them, and the animals will be adopted back out. But originally, a lot of people, they didn't have that, so an animal would get too big, they didn't want anymore, they let it go. Florida's habitat is perfect. They have tons of food for the animals to eat out there. And then some people will also say that Hurricane Andrew, during Hurricane Andrew, a snake breeding facility that had somewhere around 40,000 snakes in it was completely leveled. And a lot of people say that a lot of the snakes came from that breeding facility. So you have the two different stories behind where they came from. Now, I will say that my girlfriend and I have gone twice this year to the Everglades looking for Burmese pythons. We did not see one. So they do estimate populations to be somewhere around hundreds of thousands, but it's not easy. I mean, we spent between our two trips probably 6-7 full days hiking different parts of the Everglades, and I didn't see one invasive species or species that wasn't supposed to be there, like python. This is my last animal that I was going to show everyone, and you guys I see have a little baby one. He is about an 8-year-old version of a bearded dragon. Oh,
ours is going to turn into that?
Yeah, he's actually not even a big one either. Now, they don't get too much bigger than this, but you can see his tail got nipped, which I happen to notice yours did too, which often happens when they're kept, a lot of them are kept in one cage at pet stores. The big bullies in there will nip tails and toes, and he was getting bullied when I adopted him as a baby. So he's a male. Females are actually closer normally to this size. Males are usually a little bit bigger than this, but not very much bigger. You know, the biggest they'll get is 2 of these squares, and that's length, just in length. But bearded dragons, and I did mean to say that the pythons are not native here, which we talked a little about with the whole Florida Everglades thing. But these pythons are found in Africa normally. The bearded dragons are found in Australia normally. All these other snakes that I own can be found here in Maryland. But these two are the non-native species, and they are good pets, but again, not from our area. So what?
Would that survive here?
No, he needs hot temperature. And our summers he might be okay, but our winters he freezes to death. Same thing with the ball python. They would both freeze to death in our winters. Everybody else here, as long as their lack of camouflage didn't kill them, for instance, they probably wouldn't often make it in the wild because they stand out, they would be able to survive in our area. So what I'm going to do, so I can start bringing around some snakes for people to hold and touch. I want to just hand sanitize everyone. And I'll do this before the reptiles, hand sanitize afterwards.
I have a question.
So once you're done, hand sanitize afterwards.
I just chose a name that seemed like.
These guys are a little harder. There is something you can do, but I only recommend you do if you
You have to see
it's called probing or popping.
What?
That's either way.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna do this. So I think my snake's gonna be like.
Did you ever see that?
I just chose Paul because it's like a universal boy or girl name.
Yours is a girl we named it Bubba.
Bubba?
I was gonna say that seems to be a popular name with big females.
Yeah.
A lot of the videos I watch.
Because they're just big, lazy, fat butts. They just don't do it. Just Bubba.
Hey man, you're just pinching my stuff.
Check my head.
Don't do it. Hey, bye.
Oh my god.
Bye. What do you play?
All right.
That